Welcome back. It's your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso, right on SABC3 on your Friday morning. It is that time of the morning, though, where we take a look at some of the biggest tech stories around with our expert, Tienus Jansen van Rensburg, where we look at some of the most interesting stories, I think, this morning as well.
Wow.
There has been some interesting stories this week.
Really interesting. I love the expression on your face as you're prepared to dumb things down for you and I. I know we approach this lightly, but of course the world has kind of been caught in rapture around, unfortunately, the tragic fire at Notre Dame Cathedral, an iconic, I think, not just within Paris and within the entire world and our culture. It's a piece of history.
It's like
that's
13 million visitors a year.
Yeah, it's massive, but it sounds like 3D printing might come to their aid in a dynamic way.
Well, 3D modeling. So there were scientists back in 2015, so it was very recently, and we're quite lucky that they did conduct this research. And essentially what they did was they did some 3D modeling from the inside with laser technology.
Wow.
So they were able to translate what the building looked like in like painstaking detail, which means we can now use this research, give it to Paris, and they can start rebuilding, and they can do it as close to the original as possible.
So people are going to be taking virtual tours of Notre Dame, I would imagine,
for the
until
time
it gets
being,
built
for
again.
the time being.
But that's crazy that they were able to do that, and
I think it'll
lucky,
definitely help in terms of getting the authenticity of it.
And that's the whole idea, right? So I mean, an iconic landmark like this, they want to recreate it as the original from the 13th century.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, it's been restored many times, so what you were seeing anyway was a restoration of the original.
Yes.
So, I mean, let's never forget that.
Exactly. Let's move on to the next story. I won't lie, it's a little bit gross. But scientists managed to keep a pig's brain alive for 36 hours after the beheading.
Was that in the head?
In the head.
In the head.
In the head.
Righto. Okay,
Right,
let's
so-
unpack the story first. It's too.
It is a strange story, right? So the reason that they did this initially was to try to understand what exactly happens to the brain after dying, what we think as dying. So as soon as oxygen leaves the brain, that's essentially when the brain is dead, or so we thought. And this is kind of blurring the lines of what it means to be alive, and what it means to have an inactive brain versus a dead brain. So what they did was they, after the beheading, they then flushed it of all like blood and all the essential stuff that
blood normally.
exactly.
Vital, yeah.
And then 4 hours later, they injected their own cocktail, call it, and essentially what they were trying to find out is whether or not they can reproduce the conditions of a brain being active. So they're very quick to say, no, this brain wasn't alive, but it still had the activity of a live brain, and that's quite an interesting concept.
So they were able to essentially jumpstart the brain.
Right, and those brains were essentially still alive for about 36 to 40 hours, and then only at that point in time it started to decay like the other brains that hadn't been
I mean, it might sound freaky and weird and a little inhumane, but when you think about the very humane applications of this kind of science moving forward.
So if we can use this research to essentially help people in hospital once they've got brain injuries, for example, that is kind of the application we're looking at.
PlayStation, next generation, yes.
Quite a segue there.
Yes.
So
I'd trade my head for a PlayStation right now. As long as you can keep my brain alive, I would do it.
Right, so the next generation PlayStation is coming. We don't know quite when it's coming yet. It's definitely not in 2019. So we expect to see it probably sometime next.
In fact, Joe is excited.
It's very excited.
Around,
I think they've got an early version. So then essentially we don't have a lot of details, but the people said that, look, it's going to be a whole new gen, right? So it's not going to be like the PlayStation 4 Pro or the Xbox One X. It's going to be a whole new generation. So brand new GPUs, brand new CPUs, and it's going to be kind of next level in terms of performance.
We like next level.
Oh, dude,
like
next level.
Thank
All
you
of those
so
stories were next level. Tienus Jansen van Rensburg, thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's what's trending on our timelines. What tech news has grabbed your attention? Don't lose your head.